Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into one of the most famous texts in human history, the seven-day creation narrative. But we're not just going to read it at the surface level. Instead, we're going to look closely at the original Hebrew terminology to uncover this profoundly beautiful, poetic structure beneath it all. It really is an incredible journey, watching absolute chaos transform into perfect, vibrant order. Understanding this completely shifts how we read ancient literature. Let's get into it.
All right, here's our roadmap for today. We'll be covering the foundations of creation, light and the expanse, land, seas, and vegetation, filling heavens and waters, humanity and the animals, and finally, the harmony of Shabbat.
Starting off with Section 1, the foundations of creation, the absolute beginning of order.
To really set the scene before the 6 active days of work even began, we have to understand that the earth started as tohu vavohu. This is a fantastic Hebrew phrase that translates to formless and empty. I mean, it's the ultimate state of chaos. Just imagine pitch darkness covering the face of the Tehom, the immense, chaotic deep. No structure, no life, just this vast, dark emptiness. But right there, hovering over these waters, is the Ruach Elohim, the Spirit of God, just waiting, ready to act.
And then, out of that absolute darkness, we get this incredibly cinematic moment. Elohim speaks just 2 words, Yehi Or, let there be light. And just like that, light comes into being. It's a sudden, radiant burst that marks the very first instance of order in the universe. The chaos is finally pierced.
Now, this brilliantly illustrates a major theme we're going to see again and again throughout these early days, and that's separation. Elohim doesn't just create light and leave it at that. He actively divides the light from the darkness. He names the light Yom, day, and the darkness Layla, night. By drawing these boundaries, it creates evening and morning, successfully establishing day 1. Order has officially begun. Moving right along to Section 2, light and the expanse. This brings us to day 2. Having established day and night, the act of divine separation actually moves upward. To really grasp day 2, we've got to unlock a fascinating Hebrew concept called the rakia. Now, this is often translated as an expanse or a firmament, but it was essentially a vast, glowing, cosmic boundary created specifically to separate the chaotic waters that were still engulfing everything.
Elohim uses this rakia to divide the waters below from the waters above. He then names this vast new expanse Shemayim, or the heavens. So day 2 is entirely about creating vertical space, right? It's about carving out a functional pocket of order amidst the endless chaotic deep.
Which takes us to Section 3, land, seas, and vegetation. Day 3.
As physical form really begins to take shape here, you can start to notice a recurring creation formula. The original text has this highly structured, almost musical rhythm to it. First, Elohim speaks. Second, the thing is created or enacted. Third, Elohim names or blesses it, often declaring it good. And fourth, we get that familiar refrain of evening and morning. This kind of repetition really drives home the profound intentionality behind the whole design.
Using that exact formula, Elohim commands the waters below the heavens to gather into one place, and this action reveals the Yebashah, the dry land, which he names Ereth. The gathered waters, he names those Yamim, the seas. But day 3 isn't over yet. Elohim then commands the earth to bring forth blooming life, deshe, or grass and plants, and etz, fruit-bearing trees. And crucially, they are created each according to its kind, creating an absolute explosion of categorized, highly ordered botanical life.
All right, Section 4, filling heavens and waters. We're looking at days 4 and 5 now.
There's a massive structural shift that happens right here. In days 1 through 3, Elohim created the empty habitats. Now he totally shifts gears to fill them. Matching the light and dark habitats of day 1, day 4 fills that space with the Me'arat, which translates to light bearers. Elohim places these right in the expanse of the heavens. He makes the greater light, the sun, to rule the day, the lesser light, the moon, to rule the night, and scatters the stars across the sky. But they aren't just decorative lights. They have a very distinct function. They're there to separate day from night and to act as markers for seasons, days, and years.
Now moving into day 5, Elohim fills the habitats created on day 2, the waters below and the expanse above. He commands the waters to literally swarm with living creatures, and birds to fly across the heavens. Great sea creatures and winged birds just burst into existence, each according to its kind. But what's truly beautiful here is that Elohim gives them a blessing. He tells them, "Be fruitful and multiply." This is a huge moment. It's the very first time life is empowered to continue the divine work of filling the earth.
That brings us to Section 5, Humanity and the Animals, Day 6.
We're really building up to the climax of physical creation here. Elohim commands the dry land, the land formed back on day 3, to bring forth the Nefesh Chaya. This is a beautiful Hebrew term meaning living creature or breathing soul. We're talking livestock, creeping things, the wild beasts of the earth. The land is now completely teeming with animated, breathing life.
And right here is where we reach the massive theological and poetic climax of the narrative. Elohim says, "Let us make humanity, Adam, in our image according to our likeness." Humanity, created both male and female, Adam and Chava, is given a completely unique dignity. They're blessed, told to be fruitful and multiply, but they're also given a specific mandate to rule over the fish, the birds, the livestock, and to subdue the earth. They are, without a doubt, the absolute pinnacle of the physical design.
Notice the profound linguistic shift that happens at the end of day 6. Throughout the previous days, Elohim looked at what he made and simply declared it good. But now, stepping back and looking at the completed entirety of creation, the text says, Elohim saw everything he had made, and behold, it was very good. The chaotic, empty tohu vavohu has been entirely transformed into a perfectly functioning, incredibly good ecosystem.
Finally, Section 6, the Harmony of Shabbat, Day 7.
When we look at the ultimate goal of all those preceding days of intense creative work, the architectural genius of the narrative is just staggering. Days 1 through 3 gave us the ordered spaces. Days 4 through 6 gave us the inhabitants to fill those exact spaces. It's a perfectly complete journey from a dark, formless void to a brilliantly vibrant, ordered universe.
But you know, the story isn't actually finished until the 7th day. The heavens and the earth were completed, and Elohim ceased his work. He enacted Shabbat, which translates to rest. But keep in mind, this isn't a rest of exhaustion, right? It's a purposeful, gentle stillness where all of creation finally settles into a state of harmony. Elohim blesses the 7th day and makes it holy. The chaos has been entirely replaced by a sacred living peace.
So that leaves us with a pretty profound question to chew on. How does understanding this highly structured movement, from total, formless chaos to a holy, sacred rest, actually change the way you view this ancient text? When we look past the surface and really examine the architectural intentionality of the Hebrew phrasing, we find a story of breathtaking poetic brilliance. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I hope this sparks your curiosity to dig even deeper.